Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've got a question for Ms. Pryor and Ms. Slasek. Is it important to you that Ex-Im Bank not lose taxpayer money under your leadership? Just yes or no, preferably.
Yes, sir.
Is that important? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay, and so as a member of the board, would you commit to working for reforms and policies and procedures that you feel would appropriately diminish the risk that taxpayers would lose money? Would you commit to working in that fashion?
Of course.
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
good. So I'm glad to hear that our Democratic nominees are open to working on reform to minimizing or at least appropriately reducing taxpayer risk. I know that the Republican nominees are open to that as well. Mr. Chairman, it's long been no secret I am deeply skeptical about the mission of Ex-Im Bank. I know that I am in the minority in the United States Senate with these views. However, I do share interesting company. President Obama once said, and I quote, "The Ex-Im Bank is little more than a fund for corporate welfare." Bernie Sanders, with whom I occasionally disagree, as opposed to reauthorization. I have concerns at several levels. I think this is a very dubious proposition for taxpayers. Ex-Im proponents have often claimed that the Ex-Im Bank only takes risks that private lenders are unable or unwilling to take, and yet at the same time proponents will argue that Ex-Im only makes safe bets. Well, the fact is it's impossible to have both. The bank is either crowding out private sector lenders and guarantors, or it is taking on transactions that the private sector will not take on, at least not at the way it is priced. And that leads me to a fundamental concern that I have, which is that Ex-Im wins business necessarily by systematically underpricing the risk relative to the way the market views that risk. That's why businesses turn to Ex-Im. And it's not just me who has this view. In 2014, the CBO reported, using a fair value accounting, which is simply accounting for the risk, they expect Ex-Im to lose $2 billion for taxpayers over the next 10 years. In addition, Mr. Chairman, as we all know, inevitably, Ex-Im Bank ends up picking winners and losers. It's a great deal. If you're an exporter and Ex-Im subsidizes a foreign company that buys your product, that's great. But sometimes that results in an unfair advantage for some and not others. Congress has heard testimony from Delta about a famous transaction in which Ex-Im subsidized aircraft for Air India, which gave them a competitive advantage over Delta, which resulted in the loss of about 1,000 American jobs at Delta. I could go on about this, but I think I probably won't change many minds on the committee, Mr. Chairman. Let me say this about our nominees, all of whom I think are very, very good men and women and capable individuals. Given that I know that I am in the minority in this view, I'm willing to support the confirmation of all of these nominees, which would restore a quorum and allow the Ex-Im Bank to function. However, I think reforms that protect taxpayers are essential, and for that reason, I will support these nominees either en bloc, or I will support them sequentially, provided that Scott Garrett is confirmed first. And as long as that is the case, and Scott Garrett is confirmed by the United States Senate, then I will support, as I say, reconstituting the quorum on the board. If not, then I'll do everything I can to prevent Ex-Im from getting a quorum. Thank you.